The most memorable video game franchises sometimes started without the backing of big publishers or sprawling studios. They began small, one developer, one idea, one moment of inspiration. Then they gripped an audience, expanded, iterated, and grew into something much bigger. Welcome everybody. In this video, we are going to know about 21 indie and homebrew games that made that leap from quiet launch to full franchise. Before moving towards our first game, let me know in the comments about your favorite indie and homebrew game. Let's go. Cave Story. I still remember when Cave Story hit the internet back in 2004, a single developer, Daisuke Pixel Amaya, crafting it entirely by himself over 5 years. It blew my mind that something so heartfelt could come from one pair of hands. You play as a quiet hero exploring a mysterious underground world who is jumping between caverns, blasting the bunch of enemies, and uncovering an oddly moving story about identity and freedom. The pixel art had this perfect charm, and the soundtrack still hits deep nostalgia. What started as freeware soon got ported to every major platform, with remakes like Cave Story Plus keeping its soul alive. Watching it evolve from a tiny indie gem to a full-blown cult classic felt like witnessing the birth of the modern indie movement itself. Spelunky. You wouldn't really guess that Spelunky began as a simple freeware project in 2008. When I first played it, I had no idea that this mix of platforming, exploration, and pure chaos would shape an entire subgenre. The game randomly generates every level, meaning no two runs feel the same. Every fall into a spike pit or being crushed by a boulder felt like a personal lesson in patience and greed. Derek Yu's design turned punishment into discovery, and that loop kept players hooked. The HD version in 2012 took things even further, adding tighter controls and sharper visuals, eventually giving rise to Spelunky 2. Few games have made dying again and again feel this satisfying, and that's why it became a cornerstone of roguelike platforming.
Let's go to a place where everything is made of blocks, where the only limit is your imagination. Let's go wherever you want to go. Climb the tallest mountains.
Minecraft. You won't believe how small Minecraft started out. Just a blocky world in alpha form back in 2009. Nobody could have predicted it would grow into the cultural giant it is today. The magic was in its simplicity. Breaking and placing blocks, exploring caves, crafting gear, and slowly building your own world. That freedom was pure creativity unleashed. Over time, it expanded with survival mechanics, redstone circuits, massive multiplayer servers, and endless mods. It went from indie curiosity to one of the most influential games ever made, spawning spin-offs like Minecraft Dungeons and Legends. Every time I drop into a new world and see that sunrise over a blocky landscape, I remember how it all began, just one small idea that reshaped gaming forever. Super Meat Boy. At first glance, Super Meat Boy looked like a silly concept, a cube of meat jumping around splattered walls, but once you played it, you'll understand the hype. Released in 2010 by Team Meat, it became a lesson in tight, brutally precise platforming. Every jump had to be timed perfectly, every saw blade memorized. It wasn't just about reflexes, it was literally about heart. The story of Meat Boy rescuing Bandage Girl from the evil Dr. Fetus was simple but packed with personality. It felt like the spirit of classic 8-bit games reborn through modern chaos. Years later, even Super Meat Boy Forever carried that legacy forward, proving this bloody, hilarious platformer had real staying power. Terraria. When Terraria dropped, it felt like discovering a 2D sandbox of endless adventure. Dig, build, fight, explore, those were the 4 pillars that kept me glued for hours. Every layer underground promised new materials, monsters, and surprises. You start off with nothing but a few tools, slowly building up armor, crafting weapons, and summoning bosses that fill the screen. It was like Mario met Minecraft with a dash of RPG depth. Updates kept pouring in for years, turning it into one of the richest indie worlds ever made. And even today, booting up Terraria feels fresh. That thrill of carving out your own world never fades, even after thousands of hours. The Binding of Isaac. I'll never forget my first run in The Binding of Isaac. A creepy basement, grotesque monsters, and that uneasy silence between rooms. It is a mix of Zelda-style dungeon crawling and rogue-like randomness, wrapped in disturbing biblical themes. Every run felt different because of hundreds of item combinations that could either make you unstoppable or destroy you in seconds. Beneath the dark humor was something deeply personal. A game about guilt, fear, and survival. Rebirth, afterbirth, and repentance expanded it into a sprawling universe of mechanics and lore. It's wild thinking that this little Flash-inspired project became one of the most talked about indie series of all time. Hotline Miami. So sometimes, violence in games just hits differently, you know? Hotline Miami landed like a neon-soaked fever dream and nobody was ready for it. From the first level, you're tossed into a surreal, blood-drenched Miami as Jacket, answering cryptic calls and donning animal masks that give you wild perks. Each run is a frantic top-down gunfight in close quarters. Deaths are brutal, instant, and you restart in a heartbeat, learning every guard's pattern. The pulsing synth soundtrack and trippy story made it unforgettable. Watching it explode into a series, with Hotline Miami 2 and even comics, felt like chaos finally getting the fame it deserved. It's the perfect definition of cult classic, violent, stylish, and influential as hell. Don't Starve. I remember stumbling onto Don't Starve and instantly falling for its spooky cute art style, a wicked mix of Tim Burton and tough-as-nails survival. Your character is Wilson, who wakes up in the wild and has to battle hunger, monsters and sanity, all while gathering whatever weird stuff you can find. It's heavily randomized. One day you're chasing rabbits with a stick, and the next minute you're surrounded by shadow creatures and freezing to death. Crafting is deep and the tension never lets up. What set it apart was how brutal yet addicting it was. You really do learn by dying. Then came Don't Starve Together, bringing multiplayer madness and turning it into an indie juggernaut about surviving and screaming with friends. Risk of Rain. At first, Risk of Rain just seems like a tough pixel art roguelike where everything's out to get you. But give it a try and the real genius unfolds. You crash on an alien planet, picking from different survivors with wild abilities. Enemies get tougher the longer you hang around, pushing you to balance exploration with pure survival. Each run is loaded with random loot that can turn you into an unstoppable monster or bury you under waves of chaos. The sequel, Risk of Rain 2, changed everything by jumping into 3D, but somehow kept that heart-pounding rush and hard-as-nails vibe. Watching this series evolve into a staple for co-op rogue fans is a joy. Every multiplayer session guarantees chaos and bragging right. Five Nights at Freddy's. To be honest, no franchise scared me more than Five Nights at Freddy's. The first time those animatronics moved, I nearly threw my mouse across the room. You're stuck as a nighttime security guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, flipping through grainy security cameras while managing doors, lights, and your sanity. Every second is about resource management, paranoia, and those gut-punch jump scares. With each new game, the story's web of secrets, Easter eggs, and insane theories grew, until it wasn't just a game, but a whole horror universe. Seeing FNAF transform into books, movies, and endless sequels has been wild. Sometimes it feels like indie horror owes everything to this series. Shovel Knight. The day Shovel Knight released, it felt like being a kid in the late 80s again. Yacht Club games somehow bottled every ounce of NES magic. Crisp platforming, vibrant sprites, memorable bosses, and that killer chiptune soundtrack. Digging up treasure, pogo bouncing on enemies, and braving epic boss fights as the little blue knight was instantly addictive. Shovel Knight didn't stop at nostalgia. Expansions like Plague of Shadows and Spectre of Torment added new characters and styles, growing the world in smart, surprising ways. It's not just a throwback, it's one of the best indie adventures ever, and seeing it expand across consoles, amiibos, and even cameos in other games, just pure joy. Axiom Verge. Curiosity just got the best of me with Axiom Verge, and man, it was worth the deep dive. Built almost entirely by one developer, Thomas Happ, it felt like the indie Metroid so many fans were waiting for. You play as Trace, a scientist teleported into a glitchy alien world, gradually unlocking wild weapons and upgrades, all while piecing together a mysterious story. What made it awesome wasn't just the exploration and secrets, but how the game embraced weird tech glitches as real mechanics, swapping worlds, breaking walls, reprogramming enemies. Axiom Verge eventually landed everywhere, even getting a full sequel, turning its humble start into a real-deal sci-fi saga. Undertale. So I never expected a game as small as Undertale to hit me right in the feels, but wow, it did. The magic is in its choices. Fight your way out or try to talk your way through. Every battle becomes a kind of dance, and sparing enemies actually changes their stories. The writing is hilarious, the world oozes character, and the emotional gut punches, legendary. What's wild is how every ending feels handcrafted for your playstyle. Undertale wasn't just clever, it inspired fans and developers everywhere to get creative with RPGs. It's a one-man dream game that turned the whole genre on its head and sparked a worldwide fan phenomenon. Rocket League. Who would have thought that soccer with rocket-powered cars would become a global phenomenon? When Rocket League dropped, it felt like pure magic. Speed, acrobatics, and unpredictable aerial goals, all in a game that anyone could pick up, but only the truly dedicated could master. You jump right into 5-minute matches, controlling heavily customizable cars, slamming the ball and pulling off wild flips. The skill ceiling was insane. Just learning to fly across the pitch for a last-second save or goal was its own reward. What began as a sequel to a little-known PS3 game exploded into an esport legacy, with pro tournaments and a player base that still grows. Rocket League stands as proof that sometimes the wildest ideas become the biggest hits. Ori and the Blind Forest. Looking back, Ori and the Blind Forest instantly felt like one of those rare gems you want to share with every gamer you know. Right away, it hooks you with heartbreakingly beautiful art and music. A hand-painted Metroidvania adventure about a tiny guardian spirit lost in a deadly forest. The controls are buttery smooth as you leap, glide and solve physics-based platforming puzzles, slowly unlocking new abilities to explore intricate areas. Every jump, every dash feels just right. Failure is rarely punishing, but always motivating. Behind the scenes, Moon Studios poured everything into crafting a soulful story, and the sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, raised the bar even higher. This series proved indie games could match or even surpass AAA emotional storytelling. Stardew Valley. There was something honest and soothing about Stardew Valley from the first moments, just inheriting a rundown farm and choosing how to rebuild. Inspired by classics like Harvest Moon, it has built everything from scratch: pixel-perfect art, chill music, and a farming life bursting with friendships, mystery, and endless possibilities. From planting crops to exploring caves, fishing and wooing your favourite townsfolk, it all feels personal. The day-night cycle and gentle seasons keep you hooked, and multiplayer turned the cozy solo experience into communal therapy. Updates keep adding more, making Stardew Valley a living world that millions still escape to whenever real life gets overwhelming. Enter the Gungeon. I'll never forget my first Gungeon run. The bullet hell madness, the tongue-in-cheek humour, and those wild weapons. You pick from iconic characters, each with their own backstory, diving deeper into a dungeon where everything tries to shoot you. Roguelike rules mean death is just part of the journey, with each restart throwing new gun combos and secrets your way. The movement and twin-stick shooting are frantic, and the game never stops with the surprises. Guns that shoot bees, rainbows, or even other guns. Growing into its own arcade shooter universe, Enter the Gungeon spawned spin-offs, an animated series, and a legendary reputation among fans who love challenge and chaos. Cuphead. You won't believe the amount of time and risk Studio MDHR poured into Cuphead. From the start, Its 1930s cartoon visuals and jazzy soundtrack made it unforgettable. This run-and-gun boss rush game demands precision, dodging bullets, learning patterns, and tackling over-the-top animated bosses. It's tough, old-school hard, every loss feels fair, and victory is a rush worthy of bragging rights. Hand-drawn animation means the worlds and bosses pop off the screen, and couch co-op makes the grind even wilder. The DLC and Netflix show highlight how Cuphead became a true pop culture hit, an indie that broke through with style, substance, and memorable charm. Hollow Knight curiosity turned to obsession the moment Hollow Knight's atmospheric world opened up. Developed by Team Cherry in Australia, it's a vast, interconnected realm of abandoned cities, cryptic secrets, and bizarre creatures. Movement is tight, slash, dodge, jump, discover, and every new area adds layers of challenge and lore. The hand-drawn art, haunting music, and rich story encourage exploration instead of holding your hand. Boss fights are hardcore but fair, and progression never feels forced. Hollow Knight's enormous following, outstanding DLC content, and hype for its sequel. Silk Song make it one of the best indie adventures ever, a world you truly get lost in. Dead Cells. I know, sometimes you want non-stop action and zero patience for slow starts, and Dead Cells nails that perfectly. It's a roguelite Metroidvania. Each run is procedurally generated, with tough enemies, random loot, and unlockable weapons. You dash, roll, and hack your way through twisting corridors, learning patterns, and upgrading in short bursts. The movement is so smooth, it almost feels like dancing. Each death means more knowledge and upgrades, fueling that just one more run addiction. Since launch, Dead Cells has added DLC, modes, and even crossover content. Its flexible design keeps fans coming back. It's proof that speed, challenge, and variety make an indie game last. Among Us. It seemed like a sleeper hit, then it blew up almost overnight. You gather with friends as colourful crewmates working together to fix a spaceship while a few imposters secretly sabotage and kill. Every round becomes a social mind game, arguing, accusing, voting, and desperately defending yourself. The core loop is easy, and matches are short, but the real magic is in the drama and betrayal, especially with voice chat. The game grew rapidly as Twitch and YouTube creators made it a cultural event, leading to memes, updates, new maps, and plans for sequels. Among Us is proof that clever design beats big budgets every time. Alright everyone, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed hearing about these awesome underdog franchises, drop a like and let me know your favourite in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you love discovering cool gaming stories. More epic content is coming soon. Until next time, keep playing, keep supporting indies, and stay passionate about gaming.